The best interviews over there.
Well, it's funny. They're like our programs. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How you doing?
I recognize some faces here.
Hopefully in a good way.
Yeah, really. Aged somewhat. What can I do for you? Ask me a question.
Ask you questions.
Well, what was it like with the on the hot here in Cleveland? That was a great episode.
Oh, you were impressed by?
By the hot in Cleveland episode
Oh, hot
that you did? Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It was
really?
like during that.
Oh, it's just again, they asked me to do a guest role. What was entertaining about that was, as their opener, they did a stunt, which was the performances were live. That was broadcast live, so it went out at various time slots. But it was a live performance. There was no going back. And some of the people got really nervous about that because they hadn't been ever or hadn't been on stage in a long while. So to sustain a performance and know that if you stuttered, there was no cut, let's do that again. It was there. So everybody rehearsed very, very hard. Did a lot of drilling. And mostly it went well.
I want to hear about the new album.
New album.
What's the concept? Who are the guest stars?
Guest musicians, all soloists, and I don't have their names in a list. I wish I had thought to bring it, but some of the great musicians around. And the moment I'm unprepared for that. I realized that when I came down. But each one of those soloists are individual stars themselves, and there's 15 songs and 13 soloists. I've written the lyrics. Billy Sherwood, famous for Yes, the group Yes, has written the music, and he produced it. Billy Sherwood is a genius in music, every bit as much as Ben Folds was on the previous album that I did with Ben. Billy Sherwood is extraordinary as a musician, and I think, in my humble opinion, it's an extraordinary album. It's different, and I hope you'll like it. I hope you'll like it as much as I do. It's like presenting a newborn baby or a newborn entity. I don't know. I think it's wonderful, but I need your approbation. I need your acceptance of it to make sure it is. Otherwise, it's not as good as I thought. But we'll see.
Your documentaries have been absolutely amazing.
Thank
The
you.
Captains, Get a Life I just saw recently.
Yeah.
I mean, please tell me you have more.
Get a Life Up Close is a new one coming out. Those are footage of each of those guys, actors, really close up, doing and saying things you've never heard them do and say before. I've got another documentary that we're editing right now called Wacky Doodle, and that's going to be better than ever. I'm learning the process. In doing a documentary, it's like doing a story. You don't know what the story is until you're halfway through it. Oh my God! Then A killed B, I guess, And now you're able to sleuth it. But when you were interviewing before, you knew A killed B. You didn't know what the story was. Well, that's the same as doing a documentary. You get halfway through the story or the process, and you realize, oh my God, that's what it's about. So somewhere in that process, 3 days into it, I realized what I was doing was doing a documentary on power in a studio, on a set. Who has the power? Mm-hmm. But it's told through the story of the story is told through the means of the next generation and the struggle that went on the first 2 years of the next generation. But it's all about power, and everything was so crazed and chaotic that somebody referred to it as Wacky Doodle, and that's the name of the documentary.
And you're never afraid to ask the tough questions. I mean, you get up there and you'll ask the greatest questions I think I've ever heard an interviewer do. And
Thank you.
If you weren't such a brilliant actor, I think you'd be a great career as a journalist.
Well, I love the idea of talking to people, and for some reason, a lot of people come back to me in earnest, and I'm able to get behind the mask. And as you guys know, everybody puts up this mask, and you get the same answers, and you're all right, so you write it out, and it comes out as rote. But if you can get behind it for some reason, for some methodology that you've used in your questioning, you've gotten behind the mask, you suddenly see an aspect that's not been seen before, and you realize how exultant, how joyful it is to have a conversation in which there's discovery.
It's been nearly 30 years since that Get a Life sketch was on Saturday Night Live. Could you have foreseen the rise of something like Comic-Con since then? Just how big they've gotten conventions?
How big Comic-Con is going?
Well, just conventions in general. And,
Yeah.
Just even
It's a whole new form of entertainment, really. It started off here as comic books. So people came to trade comic books and had a good time. And then it began to change, metastasize really, into where studios, seeing 100,000 people gathering, saw it as a place to premiere shows and movies and stuff like that, get publicity. So now big stars started to come down, then people are attracted. And suddenly there's a ferment going on. You guys are here who weren't here 10 years ago, but now are here because of the attractions. It's a whole new form of entertainment. And they're all going on all over the country. This is one of the big ones. There's one in New York, there's one in Atlanta. And then in every city, some of them not major cities, there are Comic-Cons or conventions going on. One of the documentaries I've just finished, which I called Get a Life, is who goes to conventions. In this case, who goes to the Star Trek conventions, and make that discovery. But who goes to conventions is an interesting concept.
reading more Raw Nerve shows? Or?
No, I did 3 years of Raw Nerve, and it seems to be done. I enjoyed it very much.
You're really kind of a Renaissance man. You write, you are involved in music, you're an interviewer, you're an actor. Is there any one of those things that you like?
I've won world championships on horses, and this past week I was back in Kentucky, and I won not a world championship, which takes place next month at the Kentucky State Fair, but the second largest show of that breed, American Saddlebreds, I just won a championship. So it's great fun.
So what's next after everything that you've done?
Taking a nap.
Yeah, I may not wake up.
What else would you really want to?
No, keep plugging away. I'm doing a lot of interesting things. I got a wonderful script, comedic script that I've got at places. I've got an interesting concept for a reality show that I got at places. These documentaries are intriguing. We're talking to people about television series and stuff like that. So, see what happens.
Be a reality series with you? Or
Yes, I would host it. Yeah. But the idea behind it is as humanity to it. It isn't just silly rendering.
Can you share the premise at all?
Premise?
Yeah, can you share the premise?
I'm a little afraid to. It's a different. It's a good idea, and it could easily be stolen. But it involves commiserating, and commemorating with people whose lives have been destroyed.
Do you have more gigs coming up on sitcoms or dramas or guest spots?
I'm fantasizing that I'll tour in this album with this album. We got a group, Billy Sherwood's group, 5 guys who are great musicians, and I go to Vegas and tour a little bit with this music.
Oh, great.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Yeah. If it works out, if the album is as good as I think it is, it'll work out. If it's not, try something else.
Seems like you got a lot of
guys. One last question.
So coming to Comic-Con year after year, and there's multiple, Comic-Cons and conventions every year. What is it that keeps you coming back to talk to the fans about?
Well, the publicity aspect of it. Everybody's here selling something. The network, TV Land, is selling their shows. and I've got all these projects. So they asked me to come and help them at that panel, and as a result, I have my opportunity to tell you about what I'm doing, as well as TV Land's slate of new shows. So it works hand in glove.
Do you think if you weren't working on anything too actively, do you think you'd still be coming back and reaching out to the fans?
Well, I'd feel a little awkward in that, why was I here? So, I've been in that position. What am I doing here? Is an awkward feeling.
You're great on the Oscars, and what do you remember about that?
Well, the director, 30 seconds, 15 seconds before we're on the air, said, "All right, everybody, good show. And remember, we're in front of 4.2 billion people." And then he went off, and I'm the opening. Holy shit. I better not make a mistake.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
So much.
Thank you.